Subscribe to LearnCab and hit the bell icon to get notified.
Good morning, everyone. How are you all? Can you all hear me? Please give me a thumbs up reaction or say yes if my voice is audible to you. Well, great. Friends, I am C. Kavita Daryani and I am your host today. I welcome you all on behalf of LearnCab community to today's session. Welcome to one of the most awaited session on best strategy to prepare for financial reporting. So financial reporting and taxation are considered as the lengthiest subject of CA final, right? Consolidations, business combinations, financial instruments, revenue from customers, and the list goes on. These AIs and NDS contain a hefty amount of theory with so many practical examples as well. And when it comes to crafting a strategy to prepare for examinations, many of the students really struggle a lot, right? Do you also feel that albeit you are done with the lectures, but still finding it really difficult to revise the subject, or you are still searching for tricks and tips to prepare for the subject day before the big day, right? And how many of you literally want to score exemption in this subject? Please type your responses in the chat box. Well, great. So we have C. Santhosh Mehra with us today, who will be guiding you with the best strategy to prepare for financial reporting. I would like to give you a brief introduction of Santhosh sir. So Santhosh Mehra is a practicing chartered accountant working as a partner at Mehra and Jain Chartered Accountants, Hyderabad. He has completed CA in 2011 and is a fellow member of ICAI. He has also completed a diploma in IFRS from ACCA and certified in NDS from ICAI in 2014. He has hands-on experience working on India's transition in 14 listed and 4 unlisted enterprises since 2016. And he is well known for bringing all his practical knowledge into the class for a seamless understanding of complex concepts. He has been teaching financial reporting for past 9 years and trained more than 10,000 students to succeed in their professional journey. He teaches the subject with conceptual clarity involving innovative methods and fun examples. Over to you, Santhosh.
Yes, good morning, friends. I hope everyone is doing good. Everyone is being safe in this COVID times. So, keeping this COVID and everything aside, because we need to also constantly look at how to move forward, right? I think the pandemic has moved a lot of things backward, but now we are trying to move forward. So we'll have to make sure that we are giving our CA final attempt either in this Jan or May or maybe in your coming November. So we will have to be prepared in such a way that we should be giving our best attempt going forward. Now, your best attempt going forward, me as a CA final student, I still remember walking into the exam hall in 2011. The first thing that I was scared was the first exam. Because I hope everyone will agree with me, the first exam, if it goes bad, then I don't think so we'll have enough confidence to come and approach for the second exam. I'll tell you the best case what happened. My exam hall had about 300 audience. Okay, in 2011, the first exam paper was really tough. And the second exam, when it was being conducted, I think SFM was the paper. And second exam, we did not even have 50% of the audience coming forward to write the exam. So that means basically the mentality of the student is significantly affected based on how they fare in the first exam. So it is very important for you people to be more than well prepared than any other subject for your FR paper and in your second group with your costing paper, your MA paper, management accounting paper. So that I think it is called as SCM now. So whenever we are looking at these two papers, they become very important for you to actually carry forward that confidence. Now, when I broadly talk about FR paper and how it appeared in November, now I don't know how many of you have actually checked for your November or the previous attempts. But if you particularly look at the November attempt paper, you will observe a very, very critical factor that the paper was on an easier side. But you have a lot of your students coming out to claiming that the paper was a little tough or little lengthy, where I would agree with them on the lengthy side and not with the tough side. It appeared to be tough because the paper was too lengthy. When the paper is too lengthy, you tend to feel that probably you could not complete the paper, therefore you did not fare well. Now, let me give you a fair understanding. Whenever you go into the exam hall and believe that the paper was lengthy, that means welcome to CA. Okay, it is purely welcome to CA and nothing else. In any CA paper, you will have to remember that the paper sometimes tends to be lengthy. There is nothing new, and you are not the only person who is writing the exam. There are all the rest of the CA final students appearing in that attempt are also giving the same paper, which is lengthy. So therefore, it is not just for you, but also for everyone. Now, scoring an exemption in FR paper. Now, every faculty, I teach FR, so I will say FR is easy to score an exemption on. An auditing faculty might come up with saying that, auditing is very easy to score an exemption on. Law faculty will walk in and say, oh my God, law is so easy that 80 or 90 is also possible. I think as student, even I was vexed because any class I go to, the faculty used to come up and say, ISCA is also exemption scoring, auditing is also exemption scoring. I never found it so. So a perspective of the student changes as far as each student is concerned, each subject is concerned. I have a couple of my friends who scored an exemption in auditing. I still have major set of people who represent me who are 40 in auditing. 40 in auditing itself is an achievement for people like me. Okay, so for us, the scoring subjects were basically costing, your FR, SFM, IDT. So these were basically our scoring papers. Now, you should leave out the myth where people say 50, 50, 50, 50 into 8, 400 pass. That is not possible. Practically, you show me one person who has passed out like that. There will be a person who will score a 70 in one particular subject and probably 240s in the next two subjects. That is where how you work out on your aggregate. So to score on an aggregate, I believe to the extent of my belief is concerned, may not be common for all, but I believe FR is one such paper which can pull you from your aggregate perspective into that 50% zone. Now, to do that, one might say, my own material is 6 modules. My own material is 6 modules. Now, I'm talking about a CA final student writing approximately 8 exams, or so a few people who are writing 4 exams. Be it 8 papers or 4 papers, I'll always talk based on people who are writing 8 papers. You need to understand that 8 papers, FR is only 1 out of it. So 1 by 8, if I give you 6 modules, each module consisting of at least 200 sites, that means I'm giving you 1200 pages approximately. 1200 pages into 8 subjects is approximately 9600, or round it off to 10,000 pages. Now you think about practical possibility of a CA final or any, not just CA final, any human mindset. Any human, I'm not talking about robots, a human mindset, 10,000 pages of content to be remembered, reproduced into the exam hall over a span of 16 days is, I think, by far, it is even harder than sending a man on moon. Okay, sending a man on moon is much simpler than actually by hearting 10,000 sites, going and writing an exam hall for 16 days. By far, it is much, much tougher. So how do I make this very tough task in a simpler fashion, at least to the extent of my paper is concerned, that is financial reporting is concerned, is my target. My target is not reducing your entire 10,000, but to the extent of that 1200 pages which you have to study for a FR paper, I will confine to that, and I will give you a particular strategy on how you can approach towards a final subject while preparation and also while answering it in the exam. There are two different things, okay? Don't combine both of them. One is how do I plan my preparation? Second one is how to write in the exam. Do not mix up both of them. Preparation plan and exam plan both can't be the same, right? So preparation plan, let us try to look at what is the ones which we have to concentrate on and what are the topics in FR where I can take a little linear side. What do you mean by lenience? If I talk about an ABC analysis, A is such kind of topics which are quite small in size but great in number of marks. Very small in size as far as the number of pages is concerned, but consists of greater weightage as far as your exam is concerned. While C is quite voluminous in size, but the marks which are coming from such kind of subjects or such kind of topics is very little. So the weightage is very low. So going by that logic, I will stick more to the, or I will try to revise at least twice or thrice for the A-rated topics. And those which come in my C category in the ABC analysis, I will give much lesser weightage, or probably my revision is only limited to once. At least one revision is compulsory for you to confidently go and appear in the exam. So therefore, my point here is very simple. I will try to give you an ABC analysis for the preparation perspective. A will require at least 3 revisions. B will require 2 revisions. C will require 1 revision. At least 1 revision is compulsory. So based on that pattern, you can set your preparation strategy. So let's look at it. Now, if I broadly break it up, I'll find that Ind AS in particular is 70 to 80 marks. Now, what does Ind AS consist of? Ind AS consists of all topics except your consolidation, business combinations, share-based payments, and corporate social responsibility. These are the 4 topics which I will consider as other than Ind AS. Though they are as per Ind AS, because consolidation is also Ind AS 110, business combination is also 103, share-based payment is also 102, while CSR there is no Ind AS actually. But these subjects, these 4 topics, I will carry them as other chapters. So apart from these 4 topics, the other Ind AS broadly carries 75 to 80 marks. Broadly, if I put it, there are 2 books which I give on module 1 and module 2, which are only related to such kind of Ind AS. I have already conceptualized and made sure that a small chart book is made available, which is only 70 sites for you to cover all the Ind AS, which you can use for revision purposes. That cannot be helpful for your first time reading. It's only for the revision purposes which we have made sure that it is available for your subscription, where you can basically stick to only 70 pages of colorful material, so that you will at least be attracted to open the material at least once, and 70 sites will give you a fair revision of all the Ind AS that you have to handle, and which carries 75 to 80 marks itself is a huge thing. The other chapters, consolidation, business combination, share-based payments, corporate social responsibility, carries about 25 to 30 marks. Does it mean that I'll have to ignore those topics? Absolutely no. I'm saying the weightage of the topics is lower for me, because I believe doing consolidation, business combination, and share-based payments, the amount of time you take in spending on these 3 topics is exactly the same time that you will be spending on the remaining Ind AS. While the remaining Ind AS carries 75 marks, these 3 topics are only carrying 25 marks. Therefore, according to me, I believe spending majority of my time on Ind AS and much lesser amount of time on consolidation and business combination for purpose of revision is a very smart strategy to apply. More than hard work, here you need to apply on your logical smart work. So the smart work here is try to dedicate a little more time on the Ind AS, and rather than spending too much of time dealing with consolidation, business combination, and share-based payments. Now, let's look at a broad breakup. If I go into the ABC analysis, what I find under Ind AS is that number 1, financial instruments, which is the most important standard, carrying a weightage of 16 to 20 marks consistently for the last 5 attempts. These are the average weightage which I have taken for the last 5 attempts, and financial instruments, which is Ind AS 32 and 109, 107 is only disclosures, 32 and 109 carries about 16 to 20 marks. The first topic that you need to revise at least 3 times before you hit the exam hall is your financial instrument. 16 to 20 marks straight you can score, and there will not be any deduction in marks provided you answer the question perfectly. Second one, revenue from contract with customers, which started adopting only from 1st of April 2018. This standard 115 has only come up from 2018 onwards, and only 3 attempts have passed by since this standard has been implemented. On an average, we find a weightage of at least 10 marks and up to 15 marks dedicated to this particular topic. It contains 5 steps of revenue recognition, and those 5 steps of revenue recognition is all the content in the standard, which carries 10 to 15 marks. Approximately, you can revise the entire standard within less than 3 hours. First revision, 3 hours you can finish off this, and it carries 10 to 15 marks. That gives you a lot of credibility. I'll put it like this: financial instruments together with revenue from contracts with customers, that is 115, together can give you at least a scoring of 25% of the entire marks. At least 25% of your total weightage of the paper is wiped out with these 2 subjects or these 2 topics, which you can probably complete within the first study itself is a day's topic. and the first revision could come up to about 3 hours per topic. So that is so simple to score 25 marks in FR paper. The third most important topic, for the first time this standard got applicable is only the previous attempt in November 2020, is Ind AS 116 on leases. Prior to that, the standard was Ind AS 17 leases. Now it is Ind AS 116 leases. Ind AS 17 is no longer applicable. So 116 lease has come into picture, could have a weightage starting from 5 to 10 marks. Not a very complicated standard. All those who at least faintly remember AS 19 can cope up with this standard if they only know the difference between Ind AS 116 and AS 19. Got it? Because Ind AS 17 and AS 19 were more or less the same, were traveling on the same grounds. 116 moves away a little more from the logic. So making sure that Ind AS 116, a new standard being adopted, has still a weightage of 5 to 10 marks and could complete a revision within 1.5 to 2 hours. 1.5 to 2 hours is the maximum that you can spend on this for revision purposes. First time reading, probably about 6 hours is what time it will take. But in general sense of 1.5 to 2 hours is sufficient for revising this particular topic. Then comes your share-based payments. Why do I consider share-based payments as an A category topic? Is because a part of your share-based payments, which we have already dealt with, even under your CA Inter. In your CA Inter under advanced accounting, we have a topic of share-based payments or employee stock option plans. Very much taken from the same logic, computations being on the same ground wouldn't require a great amount of effort from you to score those 8 to 10 marks. That's why I put this as a category of number 4 and the most important topic that one has to take into account. Consolidation, I will still categorize as A, though it takes a huge amount of time for you to cover, but I will categorize it as A because this is one such topic that you have to remember has been growing in weightage, has been growing in practical applicability as well. Therefore, I was somewhere doubtful of putting it under A. Maybe a few people want to put it under B. I agree because of the volume it has. If you look at the material that we have solved close to 60 problems only on consolidation. 60 problems, man. 60 problems is not a joke. On an average, you are at least covering 30 hours of topics only on consolidation, 25 to 30 hours. That is a huge amount of time, but still I will somewhere put it under A. You might not be wrong even classifying this topic as B because it is very voluminous to score those 8 to 12 marks. Very voluminous compared to the weightage that it has. Business combination, again, you can put it under category B, having a much lesser weightage as far as the consolidation in comparison with, because it only has 5 to 10 marks and fairly a simpler concept compared to consolidation, fairly a much more concise topic, far more concise topic. Now, asset related standards like Ind AS 16, which is your property, plant and equipment, Ind AS 38 regarding your intangible assets, 40 investment property, 23 borrowing cost, 36 impairment, 105. 105 is non-current assets held for sale. Now these are the standards. I know I skipped out on Ind AS 2 inventory. I wantedly skipped out Ind AS 2 inventory because inventory is not such an important topic for CA final. So asset related standard only specifying to this 6 will carry about 10 to 15 marks of weightage. I will still categorize it as B because the recognition and measurement paragraphs of Ind AS 16, 38 and 40 for property, plant and equipment, intangible assets and your investment property is more or less on the same ground. The recognition and measurement is more or less on the same ground. That is the reason why I'll classify it as B because it might look voluminous, but actually it is not. The two other important topics that you have to compulsory study before you enter the exam hall is income tax, Ind AS 12, and employee benefits, Ind AS 19, each one carrying approximately 8 marks of weightage in each exam. If you look at it carefully, only these topics combined, I've already completed 80% of your topics. I've already covered 80 marks of weightage out of your 120 marks of paper, or with only quoting 9 topics which could be completed in half the amount of time than the remaining FR. So that means the remaining financial reporting is much lower in weightage than compared to these standards. So these standards barely, or these 9 topics predominantly, will give you armory to at least go and answer in the paper 80 marks and come back. Clear? Now, I've just made an assessment based on the previously asked exam papers starting from May 18 to November 20, including even the previous attempt which has just passed by. If I look at it, I'll find that there is a constantly asked questions from India 16. Look at it. 10, 8 marks, nil, 8 marks, and nil. So that means there itself I have a fair understanding that this topic has been taken into consideration much more than any other topics is concerned. Look at this one then. Look at 32 and 101. You will understand why I was saying it is an A-rated topic. Because it has 16, 20, 17, 14, and 18 marks. Huge weightage on financial instruments. So I think one has to be very careful when listening to this topic. Asset related topic like India's 36, look at it. 15 marks, 4 marks, and 8 marks in 3 attempts shows you that asset related topics are also important. Now you will say November 2019, there was no question or either from India's 16 or from India's 36. But look at India's 23 borrowing costs, which is also related to your assets, which carries about 8 marks of weightage. Clear? Look at it again. Your consolidation 25, 20, 15, 28, and 8. That itself is showing you that your business combinations along with consolidation is carrying at least a weightage of 25 marks, and your share-based payments was consistently getting 8 to 10 marks of weightage. Right? So you found that the last India's 116, you find that the question has only appeared from November 2020 because of the first attempt when India's 116 was applicable. But look at 115 and growing applicability. May 2019, the first time the standard became applicable, scored only for 5 marks. Weightage has gone up to 12 marks and 18 marks as the attempts pass by. So don't take this standard easily. Like I already gave you previously, your weightage, I would say the first 9 topics which I have given to you here is sufficient enough to score at least 90 marks. At least 90 marks or 80 marks you can easily score by only sticking to these attempts. Now, let's look at what is your target. So my concept is very clear out here. I'm saying that basically these are the 9 topics which I will concentrate on, which is my A-rated topics regarding my financial instruments, revenue from contracts with customers, leases, share-based payments, consolidation, business combination, asset-related standards, income tax, and employee benefits could carry at least 80 to 90 marks. Now, I've just evidenced it with the previous 5 exam questions. I'll make sure that this PPT is also circulated to you so that you have a fair understanding on how to plan your preparation. Which standard should I give a higher weightage on? Which standard can I reduce the weightage on? Which standard requires a revision for at least 5 times? Which standard requires a revision for at least 3 times? These concepts can only be understood once you get these topics into your head on which one is more important than the other. Clear? So according to me, these 9 topics which I've given you will require at least a revision of 3 to 5 times based on their weightage and based on your comfort in those particular topics. Clear? Now that we have gone through with this, now the question would be, then what is my preparation strategy? There should be a significant difference from the preparation strategy to your exam strategy. So in a preparation strategy, if I'll have to talk about, each CA final student should consider financial reporting as 1/8 of their total syllabus. I am not asking you to read 50% only FR and balance 50% on the other 7 topics. Absolutely no. 1/8 of your total time on FR. First, one has to concentrate on the A-rated topics which have been consistently being asked in the exam. So make sure that you first read through the A-related topics or A and B-related topics. Make sure that you revise through them. The C-rated topics, something like India's 40 till now, which has not been asked. So probably integrated reporting, which has not been asked. Framework of financial reporting or presentation of financial statements, which has not been asked frequently. India's 34 interim financial statements not been asked frequently. Now, such kind of standards which are not been asked frequently or never has been asked before, such kind of topics, you can give us much lighter weightage or probably a one reading with one revision would be sufficient for those topics, provided you have sufficient time. So time boxing is very important. When I say time boxing, that means there should be a particular time frame within which you will have to complete the majority of the topics. If you could not complete it within the time frame that you have kept for yourself in preparation planning, don't extend. Do not extend. Leave those topics which are C-rated topics. You can pick it up when you're revising the topics once again. Clear? So that is the reason why I'm saying preparation strategy has to be very, very sure and making sure that you are complying, sticking to the plan as you are prepared. Now comes exam strategy. Guys, exam strategy becomes one of the most important aspects. Now, why do you think exam strategy is important? Now, what do you think? Any student who is writing CA final comes into the exam just without preparing for the exam? I think fairly, at least 95% of the people who are appearing for the CA final exam might have dedicated at least 3 to 4 months of their previous months only for exam preparation. At least 3 to 4 months. Then you will only find a few people who have passed and few people have not. Then what is the concept? How did those people pass out and why did the others did not? That means the strategy did not just lie in preparation, but also towards presentation of the exam. Two people who are prepared in the same manner might score completely different in an exam environment. Because the first thing that a CA final student has to remember is you have written the last exam, that is CA Inter, quite some time back. Quite some time back. So the hand does not move with the same fluency with which you are writing your CA Inter or IPCC for say. So those who are writing CA final have to be very consciously preparing so that they will be able to hold the pen for 3 hours. Make sure that you write as fluently as you were doing before, which requires a little bit of writing practice as well. Second thing, never panic. Never panic while going into the exam. One of the biggest problems that we have for a CA final student is your CA exam becomes life and death. It becomes life and death. I did not pass CA, then I'm good for nothing. This is my last attempt. I cannot go beyond this. My mother has high hopes on me. My father has high hopes on me. My relatives have high hopes on me. The lady who lives next door is more concerned about my result than anything else. Right? These are the peculiar problems everyone faces. You go to a particular function, family function, the first question that everyone will ask, what are you doing, beta? And you'll have to say CA. Last time I asked you, then also you were doing CA. Yeah, now also I'm doing CA. Next time you ask me, then also I'll be doing CA. Now this is being considered as an insult, and that is where we consider each attempt as a do or a die, and this tension, panic, is basically ruining the exam which you have prepared very well. This was the second thing. The third thing, when you start reading the question paper, especially those 15 minutes of extra time which is given for you to read the paper, is the most strategic thing which ICA has done. I'll tell you why. Because if I don't give you that 15 minutes, you would have read the question and started answering it. Now, after reading the paper for 15 minutes, there is a significant blow to my confidence. Significant blow to my confidence because I don't know at least the answer of 3 questions. Each question is 20 marks. 3 questions I don't know, 60 marks gone out of my hand. I only know 60 marks. What am I going to do? Remember this when I say this, and this is not applicable just for financial reporting. It is applicable for every paper, that writing 60 marks correctly can still land you up with a scoring about 50 marks. Correctly, if you answer those 60 marks, you can still land up with scoring 50 marks. But scribbling nonsense for 100 marks is not even going to get you into double digits. So remember, while reading the paper, our strategy should go like this. 20 marks is a choice which is inherent in the question paper. ICA has given me a choice to leave out one question worth 20 marks. Very good. I will take one more choice if required. If required, I will take another choice for 20 marks because I will ignore that question until and unless I complete my first target, that is 80 marks. I know most of you are fond of cricket, right? If you look at cricket, especially test cricket, has 3 sessions in a day. 3 sessions. Now, a batsman when he walks onto the crease is not with the concept of batting through the 3rd session. His concept would first be have shorter targets. First, let's face the first 10 overs, make sure that the ball gets old. Then let me complete the first session and complete at least 30 overs. I'll go into the second session making sure that I should at least live through the 30 overs. Last 30 overs, I'll say this is the last 30 overs of the day. I'll have to stick here, making sure that I'll keep scoring, making sure that my wicket is intact. So one thing that we have to learn from those cricketers is they plan small steps forward. You find Brian Lara's 400 fascinating, you find Sehwag's 300 fascinating. I'll tell you one thing, they wouldn't have started scoring the first run keeping in mind that I'll be scoring a 400 or I'll be scoring a 300. They were with a plain mind. So when you go into the exam hall, start writing the exam questions as you know them. As you know them and based on your confidence. Your first target should be 60 marks. That is to keep my hopes alive so that I come back for the next exam of the same group once again and try to pass the exam. 60 marks is my first target. But if you genuinely ask me, being a faculty of CA final financial reporting, I would say for FR 80 is a genuine target. Because in a general sense, 20 marks, one of the question is always tough, is always unexpected. Another 20 marks can probably be unexpected or a part of it is unexpected. Therefore, the 20 marks which is completely unexpected is ignored as choice. The other 20 marks which I'm not sure of, I'll ignore it for the time being. But my concentration and my full focus of 3 hours is dedicated towards writing that 80 marks perfect. Let's say I've completed this 80 marks in 2 hours 40 minutes to my satisfaction. The balance 20 minutes I will spend on those 20 marks which I'm not confident upon. That is only to score those extra marks. Out of 80, you have scored up to 59. Writing those 20 minutes of the non-confident question would land you up above 60. But in a fair sense, this is how one has to make sure that they're preparing for your CA final topics. Clear? Like I told you, preparation plan is important and then your exam plan is important. Preparation plan, stick to a book which you feel comfortable with. Stick to Santhosh Mehra's book. I never said that because each faculty is going to write the same thing. Ind AS will not change. Company law will not change. Ind AS is same for me. Ind AS is same for you. Ind AS is same for any faculty. Therefore, any topic or any book that you subscribe to, which you are comfortable with, make sure that you hold on to that. Number 2, either you buy revision material from me, which is about 70 pages, or you make your own revision material, which is even more beneficial. Where you make your own revision material that is even more beneficial to you as a student, because that creates a lot of more confidence when you write it with your own hand. But if you still want to subscribe to my material, it is available to you. But I would actually prefer each one preparing their own concise 60 or 80 page material for you to make sure that you are revising the topic again and again. So revision of the topic is very important. So make sure that you are making a particular notes for that. So one material which wherever you are confident with sufficient number of problems, at least each standard you should be covering at least 10 to 20 problems. And when it comes to consolidation and business combination and share-based payments, all 3 topics put together, probably about 60 to 80 problems is sufficient. So make sure that at least minimum number of problems are being solved. At least 200 to 250 problems is what will make you at least confident enough to go and appear in front of the exam. This is my preparation plan. Exam plan. When you're preparing, when you're writing the exam or giving the paper, then my plan is, I told you, never panic. Never panic. This is not your last attempt. And remember, 120 marks a choice given by ACI. Another 20 marks, I'm reserving it. I'm reserving it. I will answer it if I have sufficient time. But my primary focus is to answer 80 marks. 80 marks perfectly answered within 3 hours. 60 marks easily you can score from them. 60 to 70 marks easily I can score from them. My example I'll give you. I could write only 95 marks. Why 95? Because I could not complete the consolidation balance sheet which I was supposed to draft. Time was not sufficient. I had to leave out the paper at 95 to 96 marks. If I give weightage of 4 marks to the balance sheet, then probably 96 marks. I scored 91 in FR. So 96 marks when I write, I am able to score 91. That means 80 if you write, you can easily score 60. 60 is a bare minimum score which you can take it as a guarantee from my side if you attempt your 80 marks appropriately. Remember, one more very important exam tip I'll give you. Try to write your Indies based answers at the beginning itself, because it is important for you to pick phrases, appropriate phrases to answer a particular question. Okay. For example, he has given me a question regarding casual leaves being carried forward. I'll have to quote Indies 19 there, and I also have to quote the word accumulated compensated absences. Accumulated compensated absences, which are vesting, non-vesting. These are technical terms used as per the standard. If I reproduce these kind of words while explaining the answer, your answer might be right. Your answer undeniably might be right, but these kind of words being quoted in the exam will give you a much higher marks or scoring pattern than without quoting them. So that is the reason why I said make sure that your Indies based theoretical questions are being answered at the beginning, and make sure that you are answering your consolidation business combination towards the end. Have the last 45 minutes for you to answer on consolidation and business combination more than sufficient. Sir, I was not able to complete the paper because of your advice. I had to leave out on the balance sheet of business combination. No problem, man. No problem. A maximum weightage of 4 marks, you would have wasted at least 10 minutes drafting the balance sheet out there. That is the reason why I'm saying these two topics, try to take it up towards the end of the exam paper so that you will not lose out on your marks. Make sure that you answer the remaining part of your paper at the beginning. Have a target of 2 hours 15 minutes to complete the question paper without consolidation and business combination. Now, what we have done as far as our course in LearnCab is concerned, see, I have been working on multiple listed companies in both phase 1 and phase 2. Since 2016, I have worked on 19 companies, and 14 of which I'm still doing it on a concurrent basis for every quarter because they are listed entities. I bring out examples which are not from the textbook, but my examples are perfectly from the companies where I've done the Indies Swiss. I have also made sure that I am not deviating from your study material and the other material provided by ICI. So we have covered at least 300 questions in the workbook while solving it. Apart from that, we have also made sure that there are 2 modules of compendium of solved illustrations made available to you. They are solved illustrations. So at your ease, whenever you're free, whenever you think you need a more clarity on a particular topic, you can turn to those questions which are solved. You can call them as scanner as well. So you can start reading them. We'll make sure that you're more confident in answering the paper. Last but the most important, a 70-page flowchart given to you, making sure that Indies is concise for revision purposes, making sure that all the standards can be revised within a span of 6 hours. That is the effort to be made, and that effort we have contributed towards in 70-page of Indies charts or flowcharts facilitate fast-track revision. You can also maintain your own flowcharts. It is not compulsory for you to subscribe to the flowchart which we have given. You can create your own flowchart based on the explanation which I give. This is particularly what I wanted to tell you or educate those people who want to take up the exam. Now, we are open to any sort of doubts. I'll be looking at the chat screen. Make sure that your doubts are visible to us. Any particular questions, any particular doubts you have, please make sure that you keep asking. I'm here for your solving of doubts. Anything that you have, someone who might have written the exam already has a particular doubt in a particular topic, you can start asking for me right now. Aditya, you have joined a little late and you wanted an ABC analysis. I'll make sure that the PPT is already available to you. The PPT does carry the ABC analysis. I did not mention C because C is obviously the rest of the topics. I only specified A and B. 9 topics is all that I've given. So you can check from the PPT itself. Any specific strategy for financial instruments? Yes. Make sure that you spend maximum time on financial instrument. That is the only strategy which I can think about because it has the highest weightage among all the topics in your CA final. So I'll always suggest to people to make sure that you're sticking to financial instruments as much as possible. Probably you can break it up into parts. Make sure that you read Ind AS 32, the definitions of financial asset, financial liability, equity, compound financial instruments at one shot. Then you come into the classification, recognition, measurement, and derecognition at one shot. Then you can start looking at the hedge accounting and hybrid instruments. So I can break the topic into 3 parts and I can give it. While I recorded the sessions also, I've recorded it in 3 parts. But please make sure that entire standard as a whole carries at least 20 marks. Don't leave it. Someone has asked me a question regarding saying that FR is a practical paper. There's a lot of theory questions. Absolutely no. Who told you that FR is a practical paper? There are practical questions, but it is a practical understanding of Ind AS which is being tested, and Ind AS is by nature theory. So there is nothing called as practical or theory out here. You look at consolidation, business combination, and share-based payments, and you can say that there is a practical topic. But look at other standards where there's a lot of theory which is involved. So you will have to basically understand how to present a particular answer in the most concise way so that you're not wailing out too much of time in your 3 hours.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Good
Thank
morning.
you for your elaborations. Your classes are very important to us. It's helping us to study a lot. Sir, my question is, I'm from old batch, old stream. So I'm writing the new one first time. So I feel that the volume of the question paper is a bit high compared to what. How do you feel? How I can approach this new type of questions? And I have gone through your lots of classes, and I find theoretically you're clarifying almost everything. But I feel that on the practical side, I don't find lots of questions based on these theories. So I don't know whether you have uploaded entire class in your in this LearnCab package. I'm not sure because I don't think that everything is there in the LearnCab.
I'll tell you the pattern what really goes into actually preparing a set of video. If you look at the videos which I have uploaded is exactly 130 hours. Now you will find that 130 hours is the most concise video on financial reporting that you can find. The point here was basically to make sure that the entire topic is drived into your head and solve a few questions. If you observe in each Ind AS, I've solved only 10 to 15 questions at the maximum. At the maximum, I've solved about 10 to 15 questions. There were a few standards where I only covered less than 10 questions. I'll tell you why we have done that. Because we have provided a compendium of solved illustrations separately as a material to you, where you have all the solved illustrations as well. So I'll tell you on a simple logic in a CA final level, I can tell you, especially in the new syllabus, you do not find repeated questions again and again. So a question once asked is not being asked again and again. You will find that they are trying to basically test you on the practical understanding of the topic rather than how many topics that you have questioned. Let's say I've solved 100 questions on a particular topic. I am still not thorough with the topic. I will not be able to go and answer in the exam hall because out of those 100 questions, not even one is going to appear in the exam. So that is practically the logic of, probably the old syllabus to the new syllabus. I would say this is a significant shift. Shift because the old syllabus was more a practical paper. FR is thoroughly a practical paper in old syllabus. But if you look at the new syllabus, the practicality is only limited to 30 marks or 25 marks itself. So at least 70% of your paper is being on the theoretical side. That is the reason why we did not stress too much on the questions. We tried to stress a little more on the understanding of the topic rather than solving too many questions. But that should not be an issue. We are also uploading few more questions from the compendium itself, and we are also launching compendium part 2 because a few more questions have been added up by ICI in their study material, new study material, which they have launched for May attempt. So we are adding another 200 page of compendium. More solved illustrations will be added up. That is again to be coming up.
Understood, sir. Sir, one more. Sir, do you think that by hearting and getting the good knowledge on this theoretical. It will help us to clear the exam.
By hearting is a very bad language to use, Mohammed, because see,
it's
you
not by
cannot
heart.
by heart 8 subjects,
Implying
right?
that
See,
I'm no, sir. I'm implying that by getting the thorough concept-wise understanding, do you think that it is enough for cracking the exam rather than going for doing more practical
Mohammed,
questions?
I'll put it like this. I'll put 80-20 weightage. Okay, 80% is your conceptual understanding of the topic. 20% is to remember certain words. I just gave you an example when I was talking about India's 19, which was a previous question which came up regarding casual leaves. Using those words like compensated absences which are accumulating in nature. No such kind of language to be used. I'll put another 20% of weightage there. And how much weightage for solved illustrations? I can't really say anything because that depends from person to person. But if you are thorough with the concept, you can straight go into the exam hall and still answer all the questions, Moment. That should not be a.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Again, there's someone saying that there's a theory paper. Yeah, FR is 70% theory paper. I'm repeating it again and again and again. How you study for auditing, how you study for law, FR is 70% exactly a theory paper. 30% of marks are practical, which is probably in the form of illustrations. But other 70% of the marks purely theory, purely theory. Forget about the concept that this is a practical paper, at least for some time. How many exams do you need before you go into the main exam? I would say depends on a person, but at least one. At least one model test paper solved before you enter into the exam hall.
Very good afternoon, sir. Sir, actually, I'm from old syllabus. Can you please provide any specific tips? Because I have been trying to get an exemption since last 3 attempts, but I'm falling in the category of 50 to 60. But whenever I write, I always think that I'll get exemption for sure, but I always fall in the category of 50 to 55 or maximum below 60, but not above 60. So I don't know where I'm going wrong. Even I've tried
Yes,
to.
I think one thing I can tell you is,
Yes.
I'll tell you one of a practical thing which I faced. Okay, I am very bad at auditing, but there was one auditing paper where my friends were writing the exam, and I happened to visit them in the exam hall. Each one who came out of the exam hall was only talking about exemptions. Okay, one of them had actually told me 90 marks pakka. Okay, results came out, none of them passed in that auditing paper. Okay, so that basically occurs because your expectation from your own paper and the examiner's expectation from you are not actually meeting each other. They're not meeting each other. So your expectation saying that this is the appropriate answer for this question is your expectation, but the examiner is saying this is not what I expect from you. That is the reason why you normally tend to go here and there from your expectation. So my suggestion to you is make sure that you go through the suggested answer once again. Compare with the answers that you have written. What is the pattern where you can improve upon? See, there is 100% improvement. Even for a person who has scored 70 or 75 in FR, there is still a scope for improvement based on how he has presented his paper. So please make sure that yes, you go ahead, you look at your suggested answers, come back, read through the answer, understand what are the topics that you can include or what are the things where you can make sure that your answer is presented better. If you have come down to the zone of 55 to 60, that means that you're almost there. You will definitely get an exemption, but target for 70, not 60. Target for 70.
Okay, sir. And also one more last question, sir. And how many attempt RTPs would you suggest me to go through, sir?
Yeah, R.T. has also asked the same question. Past R3 RTPs are sufficient, more than sufficient. See,
And a
RTPs
compilation of
are not
suggested answers
compulsory,
would be.
but I would always suggest you to go through RTP for only one reason, that generally a few questions, at least one or two questions, can come directly from RTP of the last 3 attempts. Last 3 attempts, that is what a trend that we have seen. From last 3 attempts, RTPs, if you check, at least 1 or 2 questions have been appearing as it is.
Okay, sir.
Writing answers on Indias, only one thing which I can tell you in writing an answer of Indias is it depends completely on the question. But remember, do not write Ramayana and Mahabharata. Okay? Do not write long answers. No one is asking you on long answers. For example, there's a question regarding India's 23 borrowing cost, asking you how much is the amount of borrowing cost to be capitalized. That's it. I expect you to answer based on borrowing cost on specific borrowing is so much, borrowing cost on non-specific borrowing is so much, maximum more if you want. Define what is specific and non-specific borrowing. That's it. If you start from qualifying asset definition, borrowing cost definition, and specific borrowing, non-specific borrowing definition, that becomes too lengthy an answer, where you're unnecessarily specifying it or unnecessarily wasting a lot of your time. Therefore, try to keep your answers as concise as possible. I'll tell you one simple logic, okay? I haven't been a paper evaluator, but I know an elderly person who very closely to me, he was a paper evaluator and he told me this, that a student always goes through the mindset of writing 1 page for a 5-mark answer, 2 pages for 8-mark answer, 3 pages for 12-mark answer. And there is nothing like that. He said, I will still give you 5 on 5, provided you write 4 lines which make sense. Provided you just write 4 lines which make sense. So all I can tell you is keep it concise, keep it only confined to the point that you are trying to make.
Santhosh sir, namaste.
Good morning, morning.
Sir, thank you very much for the insight, first of all. It's a beautiful thing. And I have been a discontinued person for a decade, sir. Okay, more like a personal thing. Okay, so I wanted to continue my finals. Continue means I want to get through into it. I have made failed attempts previously also, which were not so much dedicatedly, my time was devoted towards that. So give me a straight line tip, sir, kindly. Means that becomes my mantra for succeeding this.
Okay, normally the problem is whenever you have such a long break, it's very difficult to basically come and focus again on the books. You know, for example, I have written my registered valuation officer last year. Okay, in 2019 I qualified. Okay, and it was just a 15-day preparation, and trust me, Lakshman, it was not easy. Lakshman Narayan, I think, and it was definitely not easy, because even for 15 days, and it's been only 9 years that I passed my CA final, and in 2014 and 16, up to 16, also I've been consistently studying, because I was doing my ACCA, I was doing my diploma in IFRS, I was also certified in Indias. But even though there was a break of 3 to 4 years from my study, 15 days of preparation became very tough for me. So all I can tell you is, first of all, you will have to keep your focus on touching the book. And remember, never prefer books which are too big. Never prefer books which are too big for you to basically complete. Now, I find volumes, 3 volumes of 1,000 pages each. Now, practically one has to understand, to score 100 marks, 3,000 pages is absolute useless. Absolute useless. So you will have to make sure that you are confining yourself to with something which is practically possible, and make sure that you choose your preferences very, very carefully. Anything that you can want me to reach up to at any point of time, you can reach me through LearnCab. LearnCab will put me through you. Make sure that you keep mailing your queries. I'll keep helping you in your process of your development towards your CMA.
I got it.
How many exams? I already told you, at least 1 is all I'm saying. Model test papers are sufficient, man. You don't have to go to ICA and write the exam. Model test paper, take a printout or keep a pad in front of you. Look at that model test paper and keep answering. Check your answers to what extent that you are matching with the answers. 40% match is sufficient. 40% match with model test paper is sufficient, because model test paper answers are itself framed in a very critical manner. So even a 40% of match of your answers are sufficient enough for you to take to exemption. How to know the number of hours and manage time to spend on a topic right before the exam for FR, since we get stuck in completing one chapter so perfectly the consumer topic of other chapter. So there's nothing like perfect time. See, basically I might be really good with, I might have done a preparation of a particular topic, let's say employee benefits, very well before. So probably exactly before the exam, I might just have a quick browse through for 15 minutes, that is sufficient. So probably financial instruments, I did not read it so well enough. At least 3 to 4 hours I spend only on financial instruments right before the exam. That depends from person to person. I think that also depends on how you are planning your preparation before the exam itself. Can we get a PPT? Yeah, I'll ask sure that the PPT is made available to you. You'll be able to see it. Should not be a problem. Guys, we are planning a series of at least 25 live webinars, which will be coming up in the, starting from next week onwards, where weekly I'll be coming up in front of you for at least an hour and a half or 2 hours, covering a small topic, making sure that that small topic becomes easy for you. So that is the agenda of the program, you can subscribe to those webinars on LearnCab. So our intention is basically to make sure that at least a small complicated topic which has a huge weightage is made easy for you, and probably the total webinar sessions included is not more than 40 hours. So 40 hours should be sufficient to at least score 60 in FR paper is what our target is. I have a difficulty in consolidation. How do I overcome it? I think consolidation paper topic becomes difficult only when you don't understand the concept of consolidation. Because consolidation, according to me, is the most simplest topic of all. I'll tell you why. There are two balance sheets which are already tallied. One holding company's balance sheet which is tallied and one subsidiary's balance sheet which is already tallied. All that you're doing is combining both of them and you're trying to tally it once again. What great difficulty is there? It's a simple addition. So the particular reason why you might go wrong in a consolidation is you're not able to understand the concept well. So I think I will look at the consolidation basics once again. The first 6 hours or 5 hours of consolidation video is the most important one, because the first 5-6 hours, if you get the vibe of what the consolidation is, I think you can definitely rule through consolidation throughout the 50 questions. There should not be any problem for you. So I'll suggest you to please go through the first 5 to 6 hours of consolidation videos so that you get a better conceptual understanding first. Once you get a conceptual understanding, each consolidation problem is very, very simple for you. First revision is required before attending live class. No, not at all. You have to be at least thorough with what the topic is, or even if you're not thorough, you will get thorough once you start listening to the webinar. If practical question is asked, can we need to write the provision and start the answer, or can we start answering directly? You can answer it directly. You don't have to write para number so and so, which standard it is. Not necessary. Standard, if you know, you quote. If you don't know, leave it, no problem. But para numbers, even I don't know majority of the para numbers. Time management of FR paper, I just told you, right? Write the consolidation and your corporate restructuring, business combination topics towards the end. Last half an hour to 45 minutes is that. Rest of the paper, you try to answer it within 2 hour 15 minutes or 2 hour 20 minutes, making sure that you have sufficient time for consolidation and business combination. If your remaining paper is taking much longer, cut short your time on business combination and consolidation, because there the time consumed is more, the marks are less. That's it. Fast track classes is what extent sufficient for first time learner? It is sufficient to the extent that it will give you a good understanding of certain complex concepts. And if you have already understood, it will help you as a revision. I wouldn't say that it is a substitute for your hard work, but it is always something that you can rely on, because I'm not occupying you for 6 hours or 8 hours. I'm just asking you to give me 1 hour every week or 1.5 hours every week. So 1.5 hours is not a big task in a week, that too I'm talking about. So 1.5 hours in a week, if you can listen to the webinar, I think that is more than sufficient for you to come up with at least clarifying on one of the very complicated concepts. If you already know the concept, at least it serves as the purpose of revision. If question paper is tough, what can be the strategy to overcome anxiety? A general question, I know, man. Anxiety is one of the biggest issue when you're writing CA final. And I had a very similar issues like that when I was writing my CA final as well. For me to reduce from anxiety, all I used to do was forget about the paper and make sure that at least I go outside the exam hall for 5 to 10 minutes, come back and write. That 5 to 10 minutes is not going to matter much, because I know I can score in the remaining 2 or 50 minutes of the exam. I've taken FR from other faculty. I couldn't understand some topic of their explanation. Can you please provide chapter wise revision, sir? Yes, the topics of revision will already be provided to you. So you can subscribe based on your need. You have to be looking at LearnCab, Narayan. So you will get it from LearnCab. Please make sure that you tune into learncab.com. So they will be updating you with what is this webinar coming up in the next week. What is the timing of the webinar? We are generally looking at morning 6:30 to 8 o'clock is the webinar time, or maybe from 7 to 8:30. We're planning something like that for FR, and that too once in every week is what we're planning up. So you can definitely look at the schedule which will be provided to you. Look at the schedule and make sure that you tune it for those classes. Okay. Yeah, there is a registration link which already Prajwal Reddy has already sent. Look at the chat box. Okay. If the topics are not up for display, I think you can ask them. They will give you the topics for display. Okay. Reading or writing more questions is effective way of solving. maybe both consolidation and business combination. I think writing the answer is more effective. On any other Ind AS like Ind AS 16, 38, Ind AS 32, 109, 115, all these theory-based standard, maybe even reading the answer is sufficient. But when it comes to consolidation, business combination, and share-based payments, I think writing the answer is a little more effective method of scoring an exemption.
And I believe that the suggestions of Santhosh sir combined with your concentrated efforts will help you in clearing the paper with exemption marks. Thank you again, Santhosh sir, for answering all the questions and for this wonderful presentation today. And it was a pleasure to have you with us. So this concludes the webinar. And all the participants are requested to fill the feedback form, the link of which we are giving in the chat box. And your feedback is of great importance to us. And friends, keep on looking for our upcoming webinars also.
The students who have joined us today, thank you. Thanks a lot. Have a nice weekend.
Subscribe to LearnCab and hit the bell icon to get notified.